So imagine this. So around a year ago, I was an absolute fiend, an absolute addict for social media. Every chance I got, I would spend it just to get a quick scroll in, to find that funny reel, just stare at random pictures of ass on Instagram. I was basically a crackhead for social media, and Mark Zuckerberg was my drug dealer. I would wake up, I would scroll for like an hour just to fry my brain for the day, and then at school, every chance that I got, every little opportunity that I got, I would scroll on YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, or TikTok. And then before bed, just to wind down for like an hour, I would just scroll on my phone and just rot my brain away. There was this one time where I decided to try to read a book. So I opened it up, and literally 15 seconds in, my brain just started wandering off, thinking about something completely random. So I was like super down bad, just stuck in the trenches of being on social media for like 5 to 10 hours every single day. And now I've been only doing it for like 15 to 30 minutes every single day. And from that, my quality of life has improved so much. My brain has improved so much. Everything has improved so much. So these social media apps, they take away your mental health, your ability to focus, your attention span, your creativity, your happiness. They make you procrastinate more. So if that sort of pisses you off, I want today to be the first day where you actually start to take action on quitting your social media. Okay, so the first actionable step that I want you to take is I want this to be the last video that you watch today. You've probably been consuming a little bit too much content today, a little bit too much YouTube Shorts, so get the stuff you need to learn from this video, implement it, and then I want this to be the last thing you watch today. You don't need to be watching any more videos, and hopefully this will break your binge watching cycle for today. When you watch this shitty short-term content like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks, all that brain rot, they hijack your reward system and they make your attention span total trash. So pretty much the reason why it's so difficult to focus and to really just keep your mind focused on one thing, and why your mind just keeps on wandering, is because you're training your brain to do so. When you're watching like 5 to 15 second content and you're watching hundreds of these little short-term videos every single day, you're training your brain to only be able to focus for 5 to 10 seconds at a time. You're basically training your brain to do the complete opposite of focus. You're watching highly stimulating pieces of content for like 5 to 15 seconds at a time, and then you keep on moving to the next thing, the next thing, the next piece of content. You're constantly searching for that little shot of dopamine that excites you. And then think of what focus is. Just picture it in your mind. What you're doing with social media, TikTok, Instagram Reels, is the complete opposite of focus. So by doing this every single day, you're pretty much just training your brain not to be able to focus at all. So when it's time to sit down, just lock in and focus on one thing, you're not going to be able to, because now your brain's used to only doing very exciting things for a short amount of time and then finding the next one. The biggest problem that social media has on your brain is that it ruins your reward system. It hijacks your reward system. So you've probably heard of the chemical dopamine. The chemical dopamine is a chemical that your brain releases to make you continue doing a certain action, and it makes doing that certain action feel good. So it used to be like, let's just say in caveman times, like when you'd go hunt a giant animal, like a giant elk, you'd bring it back and you'd eat it and you'd have this good feeling. You'd be like, you'd feel proud of yourself. You'd feel good because you're eating food, right? But you had to earn that feeling. You had to do this difficult thing, and from that you'd feel good. But now we get that same chemical released from doing absolutely nothing. So we're basically just loading all this dopamine just continuously into our brains. And you can see how this can become a problem, because now we have two choices. You can either do something pretty difficult and maybe even a little painful, and you'll get a certain amount of dopamine from it, right? Or you can do something that's not difficult at all, that is super easy, you can do it any time of the day, and you get even more dopamine from it. So which one are you going to choose by default? Probably the easy thing that you get the same amount of pleasure from. So when it's time to do important things like going to the gym, working on your business, recording a YouTube video, studying for a math test, doing homework, it makes like your motivation to do those things extremely low, because you have this other option that is just a much easier, more stimulating alternative. You can see how important it is to quit social media, because pretty much just, constantly indulging in social media and Instagram Reels and TikTok, it's just going to make you unable to focus and do difficult things. And that's why it feels so difficult. That's why your brain keeps on wandering when you try to just focus on one thing. It's because you're training your brain to do the opposite, and your brain has two options, and it's always going to choose the easier option. Okay, so this is how Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts make you stupider and more retarded. And I have firsthand experience in this. I used to be like an expert at this. So you've probably heard of the term brain rot, or like you've probably heard the word skibbity toilet, Riz, Sigma, Yacht, Ohio. You've probably heard those like brain rot terms. And if you haven't, just look at the videos that are on TikTok. Most of them are just the most mindless, stupid videos that they're just meant to basically stimulate your brain, and all they do is just make you stupider. So I want you to think of your life and the results of your life as your inputs will directly affect your outputs. So the things you put into your life, the content you consume, the people you listen to, the books you read, the place you live at, all of that is going to affect the outcome or the outputs of your life. It's like cause and effect, right? So we have Eugene right here. So his inputs are just complete trash brain rot content. All he watches is Instagram reels, skibbity toilet videos, TikTok videos, and what are his outputs going to be like? He's probably going to start acting a little more stupid. He's probably going to have a worse attention span. He's probably going to start saying dumber things because he inputs a bunch of trash into his brain every single day, so his outputs are going to be directly affected from that. So you don't want to be like Eugene, and you want to be careful with the content you watch because it'll start affecting the way you start acting, and it'll start affecting your brain. When all you watch is the most mind-numbing videos that are just completely stupid, you're going to start acting more like that. So if you watch a lot of Andrew Tate videos, you're probably going to start acting a little bit more like Andrew Tate. If you watch a lot of Hamza videos, you're probably going to start acting a little bit more like Hamza. If you watch a little bit of my videos, you're going to probably act like a Giga Chad and the, supreme man. If you watch more James Charles videos, you're going to act more like a pedophile. So it's just really like the things you watch and the things you put into your brain are going to affect the way you act and your intelligence and just the way you think. So you should be careful with what you choose. So our species have been around for like 1 million years, and only till this past decade, we've had this much access to just constant information being put into our brains and a ton of stimulation just being put into our brains. So you can imagine just what this does to your brain and how it negatively impacts it. So this is how basically social media and any sort of instant gratification activity makes you depressed, and it just ruins your life. So this graph is basically here to simplify the scientific version of what I'm talking about. So right here, you see this little mountain right here, right? This represents when you go on Instagram Reels or TikTok for the first time and you're super excited. Your dopamine goes through the roof. It spikes up. And this could be like when you're staring at pictures of hot Instagram models, you're watching funny memes, there's satisfying videos, there's stimulation everywhere. Your brain is just spiked, but this only lasts for a short amount of time. So eventually you're going to fall back down, and now your baseline happiness or your baseline amount of dopamine, just the normal amount of dopamine you usually have in your brain, is a little bit lower than last time. So now you feel like shit. And this is the situation, when you are in Instagram Reels for like an hour, you watch TikTok for like 2 hours, and then you feel like shit afterwards. This is kind of like what it's like. So what do you do when you feel like shit? Well, you watch more Reels so you feel happier. So what you do is you go back and you try to chase that high again, but it's a little bit less than last time. And then eventually you fall back down and you feel like shit again. So what do? You chase that happiness. You keep going down, 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 and down, but you're looking to keep going up and feel happier. But what happens is you just keep lowering your baseline dopamine state until you need so much just to even feel a little bit happy. It takes so much stimulation, so much brain rot to even just feel happy. So now just sitting down, simply just existing, feels boring and you hate your existence. Now eating food or listening to music don't hit the same as they used to. Now watching the favorite YouTubers that you used to watch feel boring. You need so much more stimulation to even feel happy. And eventually you just fall down so low that you just kind of hate your existence. And what happens is you're hijacking your dopamine system. When you constantly indulge in instant gratification, you're pretty much just lowering your baseline state of dopamine. And what happens is that it's so much harder to enjoy normal life because you need so much more stimulation to feel normal. This is why you feel like shit all the time. This is why everything feels boring. This is why you have so much trouble focusing on stuff. And it's because to even feel happy or to even feel like somewhat motivated, you need to have so much more dopamine to even feel normal now. So your threshold of happiness just is going to be much higher than it once was. Remember when you were a kid, how it felt so easy to be happy? Like the littlest things made you happy, like finding a leaf or breaking a stick, like made you feel awesome. It felt awesome to find those things, right? But now it feels like no matter what you do, you feel depressed. It's because of this graph, because your baseline dopamine state has been fried. And this is why it feels like such a rabbit hole. You're like, okay, I'm gonna quit. I can't do this again. I'm just gonna quit social media. But then you feel like really shitty when you don't do it. So in order to feel not depressed, you're just gonna be like, oh, one more time. I'll just do this because I just don't want to feel bad again. And then You just keep on falling down that rabbit hole. And the worst part about this is that it's infinite. There's no end to doom scrolling. So you can scroll for infinity. There's no completion of scrolling. You know what I mean? So like some things that are fun, right? They have a completion. They start and then they end. But the thing is, scrolling on Instagram, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, there's infinite amount of content. So there's no completion point. You're never going to be fully satisfied. So consuming like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all that crap, it makes it much harder to enjoy life and to feel happy. So simply what you can do is just do a dopamine detox. So start reducing the amount of content you watch. Start reducing the amount of junk food you eat. Start reducing the amount of porn that you watch. All this, and you'll notice that when you do less seemingly fun things, you'll actually feel happier, because now it takes less for you to feel happy. Like, ever since I cut off my Instagram content that I like consumed, I stopped watching porn, I stopped eating a bunch of junk food, I've felt much more easily amused from just like little things. Like now when I go outside, I just smile because it's like sunny outside. I smile because there's a breeze. But it used to take so much for me to even feel happy. I'd have to play like a bunch of video games and scroll on a bunch of content just to feel like normal. All right, so I hope this is the last piece of content you watched today, the last video you watched today, the last time you're on social media today, and just try to live in the real world a little bit more today. The main thing I want you to learn from this video is that things that really feel super fun in the moment, like, you know, Instagram, TikTok, Reels, and that kind of stuff, you're not really missing out when you quit, because in the long run, they're just going to make you more depressed, more sad, and they're going to ruin your life in the long run. And the things like building a good physique, improving your health, going out in nature, building a business, whatever it is, stuff like that is going to make you feel happier in the long run, and it's much more worth it. So you should really just start taking it seriously, to start trying to quit your social media addiction, and trust me, you'll feel much happier. Even if it's kind of difficult right now, you're going to feel way happier in the long run. So that's pretty much it, bro. Hope you have a good one, and I'm going to make a video on how to actually quit your social media addiction real soon. Bye.